I've been emotional for like a couple days. So it's been quite a journey. So it's 12:02, so I'll go ahead and get started. If you have a beverage, feel free to join me. I know that some of you are working, so you can't have alcohol, so maybe you have water or something. And I am actually drinking, just because I'm so into this indie artist, indie situation. I am actually drinking champagne from an independent winemaker.
Woohoo!
So this is Cava Brut, Franc Massard, Moss Sardana, and I got this from wine.com, and I actually like it. Like champagne is normally dry to me, but this um this actually feels good. I was gonna mix it with pineapple juice and make myself a fancy mimosa, but I actually don't need to. So I don't really know how to do toast, but if anybody wants to toast, you can jump in on that and say some kind words. But
Let me be the first.
oh, well, thank you.
To Nadia, who has worked her tail off ever since I've known her, doing one thing or another, almost all of it to help other people. So it was time for you to follow your own dream, to take the book off of the someday shelf, as Andy would say, and actually make the dream come true. And I applaud you and honor you and toast you for doing just that. You are an example and inspiration to all of us. To Nadia, may there be many more books in your future. Here's
Thank
to you.
And Nadia.
Cheers.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to join in my special moment. This has been quite a journey and you never know where books are going to take you. So I didn't know what to expect when I set out to publish my own book, but it's been quite an amazing road. So for those of you who may not actually know my story or know how it got started, and this is actually the book cover for those of you who maybe you haven't even seen it, but this is the book cover. And a year ago today, we all gathered in Pub 365 inside of Tuscany Suites, casket and all. Security was quite thrown back to see a casket go coming through the casino and everything. But yes, it was a great to do a year ago, but then you're going nonstop. So I'm glad to have this moment to actually like decompress and really just sit back and think about it. But a lot of people always like to ask how my journey got started. So my book idea actually got started from an actual dream that I had, where I dreamed that I was actually waking up at my own funeral. And I didn't like anything that had happened. I didn't like the decorations. There was nothing with my Buffalo Bills football team. The casket was cheap. I was like, I have money. How are you putting me away so cheap? I was cussing everybody out. And then after all of that died down, I had to figure out from that storyline what happens next. So when I jumped into NaNoWriMo with Andy, who's at work right now, and another friend, Macario James, they were both doing NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, in the month of November. And I said, if they can do it, I can do it too. So I wrote this book and I said, well, what happens next? And I had to keep thinking of how would you pick your life back up after everybody thought you were dead? Like you go back to work and what happens? You go back home, what happens? You go back to visit family and what happens? And so just from that little snippet of waking up at my own funeral and being upset, I was able to flesh out an entire novella. And I'm so thankful to those who were along the road with me. Andy was very encouraging throughout the writing process. Diane is my editor-in-chief. She edited the whole thing. She probably read the book as many times as I did. And then a year ago, so many of us congregated at Pub 365 to celebrate. Malik was my MC, and he actually paid for everyone's dinner, which was so sweet. And it's just been a joyous occasion, but and it's not coronavirus. Don't stress. I'm not, I'm not sick. I don't think. I just my allergies. It's been an interesting ride, but it's like when you're in the publishing moment and you're trying to get your work out there. And I was fighting with the book cover for like 6 months, and then I decided I wanted to quote music lyrics, and going back and forth with Pink's publisher. That was like 3 months, and there were so many things that you don't even have time to sit and enjoy it. Like last week at my festival, someone asked Jerry Mason, like, how does it feel to finally have a book in your hand? And it's like, I don't feel yet, because there's so much to do. It's a never ending thing of publish, get it on Amazon, fight with them, get it out there, market, book signings, whatever. And so I feel like I've never really had a chance to just like stop and enjoy the moment of being one of the few that actually publish a book and gets works into someone else's hand. So at this 1-year anniversary, I decided to just stop and enjoy this accomplishment, because it has been quite a year. I never would have imagined a year ago that I would be teaching at the College of Southern Nevada. And Malik has opened that door for me. And now I'm teaching other people how to self-publish so they get their work out there faster than I did, and they don't fall into some of the pitfalls that are out there. I never would have dreamed that I'd be putting on festivals, but last week I put on the Festival of Books, not only talking about my own works, but showcasing 9 other authors and helping them get their stories out there. Because in this year, we haven't been able to do any of the festivals that we normally would have done. We haven't been able to do the book signings at Barnes and Nobles and indie bookstores that we normally would do to market ourselves. So out of nowhere, I became a festival planner. So when people say, write your book and get your story out there because you never know where it will take you, I mean, that is so true. And you just have to put yourself in the mindset. Don't say no to any opportunities. Just be grateful and walk through the doors that open for you, because you are encouraging other people when you put your story out there. And it was part of my feedback form that I asked the festival goers, how many of you are inspired to tell your own story now? And 66% responded that they were. Between the keynote speaker, who was a publisher who wants to help people get their stories out there, and all of the courageous people, including Anthony Robinson. I saw that he just jumped in. He's one of the featured authors from last week. Everybody got up there and courageously told their stories and their journeys, and it gives people courage to follow in our footsteps. So that's why I try to promote and tell people my journey, how I got started, be very upfront and honest about what I went through. I wouldn't say my experience was bad. I can tell you that I probably wouldn't go through quoting music lyrics again. Just because those contracts back and forth with the publisher, I filled out the application right, and then they didn't give me the correct license, and it wasn't just a matter of, okay, let me fix what was wrong, but I had to go through the application process again. It's pretty easy to get a license for US and Canada. It's a lot more difficult to get a worldwide license, but having my family in Barbados, in London, in Australia, I knew off the bat, I'm selling books beyond US and Canada, so I needed the proper license. I don't want her to sue me. I've never met Pink, but I don't want the person who needs me to be in court saying, you stole my lyrics. So, so I had to do it right, but it did take quite a bit back and forth, and it's a long waiting game. So I just like to tell people my story and help them get through their story, and plan launch parties that are going to really celebrate their book and the essence of their stories. And it's just been quite a journey. I never would have dreamed it. And I know it was interesting because after the festival, Tony called me and we were talking, and he said, I know your mom is smiling down on you, so proud. And that was, for me, such a bittersweet moment, because I honestly feel like if I hadn't lost my mom, I probably wouldn't even be here in this moment. Like, there was, even though I was in Dallas and I had my own law practice and, things were going well, I didn't necessarily love family law, but I did it and I was like, okay, this is life. This is, you're in the rat race and off you go. But there was a comfort in my life. Like you go to work, you grind, you go home, whatever. And I think there's such a shift that happens when you lose a parent. And when my mom got sick unexpectedly, and then I became her caregiver and then lost her within 6 months, it kind of shifted my entire life. And it made me look at, am I really happy? Is this the way I want my life to be? And I decided, no, it wasn't. And for me, I think that moment was, and I think when daughters lose their moms, it's extremely hard sometimes, but I kind of sat myself down and said, if you're only blessed with the number of years your mother had on this earth, half your life is already gone. So what do you want to do with your life? Because you're not going to be here forever. Life is short. And I think losing her, even though it sounds cliche, that's what really hit home. Like it took me out of my comfort zone. It made me extremely uncomfortable. It made me look at everything that I had done. And I wasn't happy. So a month to the day after she passed, I moved to Vegas and I fell into the loving arms of Jackpot Speakers, my Toastmasters club, and have so much support from them. And through meeting them and meeting Andy and Diane and having everyone push me through this journey, now I'm here. But it really took losing my mom to jerk me out of my comfort zone. So it's bittersweet that she's not here because I always want to share all of my, try not to cry. I always shared all of my big moments with her, but I just know that I probably wouldn't have had this moment if she was still here because I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. The life isn't necessarily what I want, but I'm comfortable and this is it. And I didn't think about anything more and didn't really aspire for more. I'm like, I went to school, I got the student loan debt, I got my practice, I'm on the grind from now until wherever. So if I could say anything to anyone, I would say don't wait until you're jerked into that moment for you to really assess your life. Really take the time to see, are you where you want to be in life? Are you accomplishing what you want to do? Do you have a dream that keeps nagging at you in the back of your mind and you're suffocating it and you're shoving it down? If you do, you probably need to, as Diane said, and as Andy says, take that off the someday shelf because all we have to do is turn on the news and see that life has gotten way shorter for a lot of people than ever anticipated. We don't know what's going to happen in this next year, much less the next 20 or 30 years. So do it now, and even if you just make small steps towards your goals and your dreams, do it now so that you can have that sense of accomplishment because this feels great. People that have given me feedback that they have read my book, and I primarily wanted to start those difficult conversations that we brush under the rug, like funeral planning, end of life planning, life insurance, therapy. It's wrapped in a humorous story, but at the end of it, people have actually said, I read your book, I laughed throughout the whole book, and then it made me think. And then I actually sat down with my family and we started hashing out some plans and having those discussions. And even at the book launch, when we were asking people, how many want a traditional funeral? Not many people raised their hands. Many people these days want something out of the box like Earth Pod, being donated to science, cremation, or other things. And I'm like, if your family's not on board with those types of things, you need to put that in writing because they may not know or care about your wishes. And if they aren't bound to it by something in writing, you want to make sure your wishes are met, so write it and pay for it. So you never know who you're going to touch with your work. And of course you touch yourself and you're proud of yourself, and that is just the greatest thing. So it's been quite a year. It's been quite a journey. So I said I was gonna take questions from the audience because I've never had like an actual book signing. So normally people would be asking me questions. Oh my goodness, there's stuff in the chat. Oh, that's so sweet. You guys are so sweet. Oh, who knows the significance of the green dress? I know Elaine already said it, but most of you weren't on. I know Diane knows, I know Malik knows. So in my book, she wakes up in this green like ball gown and she hates the color green. So that's like another one of her issues. She's like, who put me in this green dress? When have you ever seen me wear green? And then when she realized, because she's a curly girl, and then when she realized her hair was straightened, it's like people are about to die. Because, you know, those of us who are naturals, who never put heat on our hair, like, that's a whole other thing. So does anyone have any questions right now? Hi, Rebecca. So good to see you, fresh off a staycation from the pool party at the Wynn. Hi, Noriko in Japan. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go into doing a little reading from my favorite chapter. And let me check the chat. Hey, Johnny, how are you? One of our lovely postal workers that Trump is trying to attack.
I have a question.
Okay.
What, oh, well, someone here is asking it already. What's the next book you're working on? What's in your future with writing?
Oh, Jean. Well, I have a couple of things that I'm working on. I am passionate about end of life planning, and I do want people to have their plans written out so that family members don't have to go through that decision making when they're in the midst of grief. So I do want a guide so that people can help write out their end of life plans. And also just like a little guidebook where people can put their passwords in it. They can put all of the policies that they may have, the bank accounts, you know, those things that we don't often do, kind of an addendum to a will, but hopefully easier to find than a will, because people are really good at hiding their wills. So when you put that stuff in a will, by the time people find it, your funeral is long gone. And, you know, that's just stuff that we've seen, you know, especially in Texas where I'm licensed. People have hid their wills in the chicken coop. They've hid it under floorboards in the kitchen. They've hid it, you know, like all these crazy places. They've given it to someone whose house burned down and it got lost. And so if you put that stuff in your will and then people can't find your will, your plans still don't get executed because nobody knew what it was. So just something that people can put with their important papers and hopefully have the end of life services that they choose. I also have a novel idea in mind. It's ironically, again, another funeral story, but I don't want to really be known as the funeral lady, but, but it is tentatively titled Go to Hell. And it's just a funny story about what hell is like. I'll just put it that way. And hell is quite entertaining. So
Well, was this year in the inspiration for that? Good Lord. Because aren't we living in hell this year?
It was actually, you know, before the pandemic that I came up with this idea, but it's kind of like reality TV meets the funeral process. So how it gets decided where you even go in the afterlife is put on reality TV. So the audience gets to vote based on who you are. And then when you get to your afterlife, you know, we walk through that journey of what heaven and hell is like. So that's something that I'm working on. I plan to take the month of October and really flesh that out. And then November is National Novel Writing Month. So I plan to do NaNoWriMo again.
Wow, that's exciting.
So Diane, I don't know if you want to read that one. There's a lot more curse words in that one, but I do think that it's going to be extremely funny. And I do want my work to have a lesson. So I don't know what the lesson will be in that book. I don't want it to just be a fiction book for the sake of having entertainment, but I want somebody to have takeaways from it. So I'm trying to figure out what will be the takeaway from that, except for live right and don't wind up in hell, if that's your beliefs. But, you know, that's about it. I want to attend the class at CSN. So I think that we're starting again September, October. I have to get with the team at CSN and plan the next round. Now that it's for sure they're not going back on campus right now. Okay, Malik is a thumbs up because he's my boss. So, so he says thumbs up. They're not going back on campus right now. So when we get that scheduled, I will be promoting it. The great thing about that is that you don't have to be in Las Vegas now because it will be virtual. So anyone from anywhere in the world will be able to tune into that course. And it's a 4-week session. In the past, I've done it Wednesday nights from 6 to 8, but we'll see what works out good. And it's been a 4-week session, 2 hours each. So I teach for an hour and a half, and then I leave the final 30 minutes open for my students to read their works. And we do kind of a round table, read and respond. And that has gone over really well. I mean, the students are coming with some incredible stories. And one woman had about 30 years of poetry that she'd been sitting on. And I'm like, you have to be published this year. This, you know, you have to get, she doesn't want any attention. So she's like, I'm just going to leave it for my daughters. And when I die, they can, you know, they can publish it, because she doesn't want to do book signings and stuff. And I'm like, you have to be there to stand in the glory of your work. Like, don't leave it for someone else. So, yeah, there's a lot of people in this world who want to be an author. There's a lot of people who have written out their entire book or poetry book or what have you. And when it comes to crossing that hump and putting it into someone else's hands, that's where people kind of, you know, pull back and say, I don't know. And it's really hard. I mean, when Erykah Badu says, you know, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive, I get it, because you're opening yourself up, your thoughts, your work, your love, something that you may have dedicated years to public criticism. And you know, we have people with keyboard courage who just can be nasty just for the sake of being nasty, and you can't take it personal. And that's what a lot of my students struggle with, actually having the courage to put their work out there. It's not the writing that's difficult, it's releasing it that's difficult. And I just tell people, you know, it's not politically correct, but my students really attach to this. My speech to myself when I have self-doubt is that R. Kelly still has fans. Trump still has fans. Like, there is literally no way you can say something that is going to make everybody hate you. So just put your work out there, cling to the ones that embrace you, and forget everyone else. You know, the few bad reviews that I've gotten, and thankfully it's only been a few, you can tell that they didn't even read the story, or they didn't even read the back. Like, from the cover, which has no skulls and crossbones on it, to the back, which very clearly lets you know that this is a humorous story, you know, I'll get feedback. It's not even scary. She didn't really die. Well, yeah, I told you that on the back. So you really didn't have to read the book to figure out she didn't actually die, or it's not a scary, you know, because a bright yellow cover with flowers on it should have let you know it's not scary. That's why I spent a great deal on the book cover, making sure that the proper message was out there and I wasn't falsely advertising. So those few bad reviews were like, either you just want to be crotchety and old and nasty and mean, or, you know, you didn't even read the story. So I have to take it with a grain of salt. But most people have really taken to the story, love the humor, and love the message afterwards. Hi, Ram. I tried to say hi to you earlier, but I didn't hear you. We believe that people die many times in making one's lives better before even thinking of eternal life. I felt life is precious when you and people around us are healthy and successful. Otherwise, life seems even more shorter than what we believe in. Life is short. Please comment. Congratulations. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for your brother. Yes, thank you. Yes, life is short and life is precious. And you know what, regardless of what kind of afterlife you believe in, or if you believe in an afterlife at all, what we do right here, right now matters. And make this life count. Like, I can't count on I'll be reincarnated and come back and life will be better then. Like, I have to make this life count, just in case, just in case we all have the wrong view of the afterlife. Like, we have today, make today count. And oh, thank you, Christina. Oh, thank you. Stuck in Spain. I'm so jealous. Well, you're in Germany right now, right? Yeah, traveling to Germany. I'm so jealous. Everybody else that has done COVID properly gets to travel right now, and we're stuck, you know, in Las Vegas, not traveling. Okay, so I don't think I missed any more questions, and I was just trying to read the comments. Oh, how do you keep writing so many words or such a long story? Do you refer to any book or learn how to write a story? Um, don't count my ums and ahs. This is not a Toastmasters meeting, but my favorite author is Stephen King. And regardless of how you feel about Stephen King, he absolutely loves his craft. If you are considering writing any story, I would say if you just don't know where to turn or how to start, I would strongly recommend his book called On Writing. And it is not a novel, it is actually a teaching guide for writers where he is talking about the craft of writing. So if you don't like his storylines or you don't like his movies or what have you, this isn't that. This isn't something that got turned into a novel. It is a guide for people who want to write. And he's very candid about his journey. If you know anything about Stephen King, as successful as he is now, he went through years of rejection. And he came up in the era where you had to send your manuscript off, wait for months, and then get a letter back in the mail saying you're not good enough. He released things under a pseudonym, Richard Bachman. They didn't do anything initially. Like, he tried everything. And he talks about being in a one-room apartment with his wife and kid, just trying to make a way and work full time in the day and write at night. And he just kept grinding and putting things out and getting better. And he's very passionate about helping other people become better, stronger writers. And now we're in a day and age where you don't have to send your things out and wait for a rejection letter or hope somebody buys into your story. It is so easy to publish yourself now. You can write a story and get someone to design a book, and you can sit down and in 30 minutes have your stuff uploaded to Amazon. They process it. It may take 72 hours, but if you publish something on a Friday, by Monday, people can buy it and they can get it in 2 days on Amazon Prime. So there's no reason anyone these days should be going to Random House or Penguin and trying to get picked up. You don't have the obstacles that people like him did, 30 years ago. But he has a great guide. A lot of things that he posts on Twitter is encouraging people to be stronger, better writers. And so I would start there. I believe Elaine's cousin, actually, I think she said she took a course of his because he's in New England, obviously. So he teaches. So if you happen to be able to take a course of his, he also teaches. And then, I don't think I would get a degree in writing. I don't think you have to get that far, but there's a lot of books out there that just help you become a stronger writer. And if you don't feel like you're the strongest of writers, then that's where a good editor will come in, just to have somebody fix grammatical errors or let you know there's some holes in your story. Maybe you need to flesh this out a bit more. Just put some more eyes on your story before you release it. But yeah, there's a lot of help out there. And indie authors love to help indie authors. There's tons of pages on Facebook where you can go and link with others. And people are always looking for beta readers. Like, you read my book, I'll read yours. We'll critique each other and give feedback that way. So it doesn't have to cost a fortune either to get somebody to look at your work. So that's what I would recommend. But I started with Stephen King. I love him. Oh, good. Elaine, you've got a couple of books. Like, you should be having a book launch any day now. Seriously. Yes, get in gear, please. Thomas says Stephen King is also his favorite author. He's amazing. He's incredible. Okay, so I'm going to read, it's 12:30. Okay, I'm pretty much on target. Great. I only meant for this to be an hour. Those of you trying to plan, I know that many of you are on lunch, so I was trying to make this quick. So one of my favorite chapters is one that I wrote towards the end, when I was just kind of looking for something else towards the end of the book to keep the humor going, because I felt like the end of the book started getting a little serious and I didn't want that to die down. So at this point in the story, we're a few weeks removed from the funeral. She's gone to several venues trying to put her life back together. She's already gone, I think, back to work at this point. She's tried to go back home, and there was some obstacles going back home. And in the midst of it all, she's still fighting with the funeral home, ironically. So I am going to read from chapter 10. And those of you who have already read it, you can tell me your thoughts. You can put your thoughts on the book in the chat box if you like. So chapter 10, 2 weeks after the funeral. For someone who's not actually dead, I'm spending a lot of time in a funeral home. I arrive around 10 a.m. When she hears the door, Sin quickly comes down the hall until she sees who it is. She loses a bit of pep when she recognizes me. I have a smile plastered on my face that will not crack. When she gets a few feet away from me, I speak first. Hi, Sin. How are you? And how is Mr. Johnson? The last time I saw him, he didn't look so good. She has as much ice in her facial expression as I have sarcastic smirk in mine. I see she's not going to answer, so I continue. Who's in charge of billing? There's a little matter I need to discuss, I ask as I wave a billing statement in front of her face. She glances at the document, turns on her heels, and heads down the hall. After a few minutes of seeing and hearing no one, I take a seat on one of the ostentatious round sofas, frowning in displeasure as I wait. Finally, a woman casually dressed in olive green slacks, an untucked white silk-like blouse, and black rundown flats comes down the hallway. Clearly, she doesn't normally see clients. She asks uneasily what she can do for me. I show her the bill I received in the mail and say, I think there's been some kind of mistake. About the bill? Let me look, she says. Actually, is there somewhere we can talk in private? I eye another family who is also waiting in the lobby. She walks me to the same sales room where Mr. Johnson had his heart attack, and I take the same seat closest to the door. She sits where he originally sat, and I lay the billing statement on the table. She picks it up and asks what the issue is. I'd like to know why I got a bill in the mail for a funeral I didn't need, I respond. I fully expect her to apologize for the obvious error. To my surprise, she actually tries to rationalize this bullshit. Well, I understand your question, she starts. Let me try to clarify the statement for you. My face pulls into a near grimace as she starts to break down the bill. We recently received a notice from the insurance company that they denied our claim. That is why we had to forward the final bill to you. It hasn't been covered. It hasn't been covered because it's not necessary, I fume, failing to conceal my contempt. Why the hell would I pay for flowers, a chapel, and a casket that I don't need? Well, to be fair, we didn't charge you the full price of the casket. We reduced it to our rental fee since it was not used to completion. Excuse me? I push my purse aside and lean in close to face her. I didn't even realize I was moving until she slowly started to retreat. Despite my obvious growing anger, she continues. Since you didn't take ownership of the casket, we felt wrong charging you the full fee. But we can't remarket it as a new casket. It's been used. The value has been reduced. So as a compromise, we've charged you our casket rental fee, which is just under half the market value. Our rental fees are still really. It takes everything in me not to jump out of my seat and choke the shit out of her. Your rental fees are a steal for people who actually need a casket. I never needed it. I slam my hand on the table. She jumps and quickly slides her chair back. I massage my temples in an attempt to calm down. It would be a cruel twist of fate to have a heart attack in the same spot Mr. Johnson did. I've already been carted out of this establishment once. I have no desire to leave here on a stretcher again. Who knows if these people would even render me any assistance? I snatch up the billing statement and leave without another word. I don't know why I haven't thought of it until now, but it's time for me to find an attorney. So that's chapter 10. Which I think is particularly hilarious because, this is actually the part of the story that people want to hear more about. Like, so many people have asked me for a book number 2 because they want to know what happened with the funeral home, because the funeral home never backs down. Like, they don't take any responsibility for almost burying a live person. And, they want their payment. She wants her insurance money. There's all kinds of lawsuits going, and shout out to Detroit. I almost forgot. Shout out to the city of Detroit for acting out my book this week. Just in time. Don't look at me like that, Malik. Yo people, Detroit, for acting out my book this week, because what was it, 2-3 days ago, I got all these messages from people who have read my story saying, did you see this? So they get a woman in their funeral home who, when they open up the body bag, she's like blinking. She's still alive. She'd had a heart. I don't even know how she got from home to the funeral home. She never went to a hospital. She never went to an ME's office. That I don't know. I don't know what they do in Detroit. But she had a heart attack. EMT tries to render aid. It appears not to work. They take her straight to a funeral home, drop her off. So the funeral home opens the body bag and she realized she's still alive. So they call the EMTs back. The EMTs initially refused to go back. They're like, oh no, she's not alive. She's just reacting to the medications we gave her. That's just, normal after death reactions. So for like an hour and a half, they cannot get aid for this woman. So finally the funeral home calls again and is like, there is a live person here. Come back. So they come back and they get her to the hospital, and her family is saying she's probably not going to make it because she was without aid so long. Like, Detroit is about to be sued, rightfully so. But shout out to Detroit for acting out my book this week, because that was quite the lead into my anniversary party. Malik has a picture in the chat. It's true. Is this a picture of the woman or the story? I don't know what you posted. Okay, because I can't see it. So yeah, if you want to catch that story, if you haven't seen it, it was just like 2 days ago. And I was just like, wow, how uncanny is that? I can't imagine the chaos that happened in the funeral home when they open up this body bag and it's like, she's blinking, not reacting to medication. She's really blinking. She's really alive. It's crazy. And I feel bad. I feel very bad for the woman. I'm not sure if she has cerebral palsy or some ailment, but I think that she had been sick. And so they thought, okay, this is the end of life, but it wasn't. And to not come back and at least check is just grossly negligent. I don't want to be those EMTs that's going to have to answer for that. I don't even know how you deny a call. Didn't know that was part of your process. But there you go. So that is my reading. And let me see if there happens to be any comments on Facebook because I can't see. Oh, Sheila Kennedy, she was my keynote from last week. Jessica, she's online. Diane from District 1. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook Live. I love it. Don't stop moving in Motor City. Jean. I don't even go to Motor City because I was told a long time ago by natives that it's called the stab and grab city for a reason. And I've just kind of went with that. Like, if that's how you classify your own city, I'll just stay in Vegas where I'm safe. That's good. So I was going to do some kind of book giveaways and I didn't set up any kind of game. So I don't know how to do book give. Who's a great games master on the fly? How can we do?
Malik.
The games master herself is calling out Malik. That's hilarious.
Thank you. Exactly. I'm sorry. I keep getting pulled away to deal with work stuff. I apologize.
So I was gonna do like some kind of giveaways. But I don't know who, like, I know many of you already have my book. So there's that. But well, the book is actually on special this week in honor of my anniversary. So if you don't already have it, it's on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited. You can purchase the Kindle. I think the price dropped by 50%. So for those of you in other countries, it's very easily accessible to you. I don't want to mail anything to South Africa. Monica, do you need a book?
That's funny because I met you in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I have my book. It's on, I beg your pardon?
I couldn't remember if you purchased it because I know I did a book signing in Dubai, but.
I did. So I have it. And your book was very instrumental in my daughter and I having a conversation. So we've always had a conversation about my wishes, but I never had the conversation about her wishes.
Oh, wow.
She's 30 years old. So it was very instrumental in that. It was a good way to start that conversation. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to, just sit down and chat. Like, it's funny. There's a lot of humor packed into it, but then after you laugh, kind of sit down, decompress, and think. And did anyone else have any comments, questions? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep drinking champagne. Awesome. Well, that's kind of all I have for you guys. So we could just sit and chit chat. until 1 o'clock. I'll be here till 1 o'clock. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask me, or we can chit chat, or if anybody else wants to let me know how they felt about the book, any feedback, I welcome it all. I'd like to know your reactions. If you haven't already left an Amazon review, please leave an Amazon review. Us authors greatly appreciate that. It helps to have Amazon reviews because they rank us higher in their algorithms. So that helps too. So those who have read it, what are some of your thoughts? I know Tony's read it. I think Jean has read it. I'm not sure. I know Elaine has read it. I can't hear anybody. I can't even see whether anybody's muted or not. That's odd. I feel like I hear Tony trying to say something, but I can't tell. I'm not sure. Thank you, Johnny. I know Johnny's read it. Johnny was instrumental at the book launch, helping me actually sell. Because I was signing, she was selling. Thank you so much, Johnny. Yes, thank you, Elaine, for that. Yes, Elaine must have given it to half her family. So thank you so much for that support. I appreciate it. I love that your family has enjoyed it. And I've actually been keeping in touch with Elaine's cousin, who is actually writing her own book right now. So I can't wait to read that story. I think she was actually at the festival last week. Do you know how many you've sold? I have the hardest time trying to read the Amazon reports. Not a whole lot. I think maybe about 400 this year, but the Kindle Unlimited is very different. It's not books sold. When people have Kindle Unlimited, they pay, well, you know, the book sold, yes, that's about 400, just people who either bought a paperback or downloaded my book, like purchased it and downloaded it. But when you have Kindle Unlimited, you pay Amazon $9.99 a month, and you can download as many books as you want for no charge. And so from those, I get paid based on how many pages the person reads. So I can't figure out that report. But I did just recently add myself on Kindle Unlimited, so that's kind of separate. So when you just talk about books sold, about 400, and now that I'm on Kindle Unlimited, I'm trying to figure out how I actually see that report. Because I feel like when people start reading, they're just going to read all the way through. It's only 100 pages, and it's quite funny. But I actually had Kindle Unlimited for 8 months, and I didn't even realize it. And then I realized I had it. I canceled it because I'm like, why am I paying $10 a month for a service I'm not using? I don't download that many books to make it worth it. But people that just love to read indie authors, and there's a lot out there, they use it, and they're probably downloading 2 or 3 books a week. So I'm excited to now be on that. But that means I had to be exclusive to Amazon for 90 days as far as their digital. So I can't put my digital copy of my book anywhere else now. I had to take it off of Barnes & Noble Nook, and I can't even like sell a PDF off my website. So Amazon demands exclusivity if they're going to do anything for you. But they also market you when you're part of KU. So we'll see what happens with that. But after this week of celebrating and decompressing, then I'll be back on my marketing grind, getting my next class at CSN together and marketing myself again. Marketing is really the full-time job. Like if you're not a marketing guru and you want to sell books, you really probably should have a social media manager, because that's going to be crucial. Because I'm not a social media guru. Like, to me, it's exhausting. So there's that. Like, the more you market yourself, the better you do. When you get tired and you stop marketing yourself, then you don't sell books. Is there anybody out there who's about to release a book? Are there any people? I know Elaine said she is. Anybody else that's close to putting your story out there? Inspired to tell your story? I see a lot of people with great stories. I know Anthony has his 3rd book coming, which is incredible.
You know, you know how you wake up in the middle of the night with a great idea? That happened to me, and I was thinking about a book of kind of not a novel or a story, but like with just little anecdotes and jokes and things like that all through, like especially for all the experiences we're living through this time. So I'm thinking about doing something along those lines.
And you're hilarious. So that would be funny.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
A lot of people, like, I just keep something by my bed. And if I
Mhm.
wake up and I want to write something, then I have it right there. And then also sometimes I'll use the voice notes in my phone and
Yeah.
have little notes there. So it's really easy to get your ideas down, because that's how most of my books start, in the notes app, either me writing it out or writing it by hand and then transcribing it later, or just, talking into my phone, giving myself a vocal memo. And
Mhm.
then when I have a good bit fleshed out, then I'll transport that to Word or Pages or something else, and then really start writing it out. But
Mhm.
yeah, you have to have something, because you'll think that, oh, I'll remember that later. And then 2 hours later, you're like, what was that idea?
Exactly.
So write it when it comes to you. Bye, Jean. Thank you for stopping by. Karen,
Do
hi,
people
Karen.
do people still do blogs, or is that, I mean, my people were telling me now it's more like vlogs with the video and everything. I mean, do you know anything on marketing those, or I guess it's a whole different
No,
animal
there
from
are still blogs. There's a lot of people who love to review indie works, and they have a whole blog dedicated to it. I've been interviewed on a few people's blogs where they'll pretty much send me the question, I'll write out my answer, and they just pretty much put that on their blog. And a good way also to get started, if you're an author that has a blog, is to cross audiences with other bloggers. So you write a guest piece on their site, they write a guest piece on yours, and you start marketing yourselves to the cross audiences. And that's a great way for people to build up their blogs. I'm just very inconsistent with blogs and podcasting and all of that,
Mhm.
that it doesn't work that well for me. But I know people that have huge followings for their blogs because they're consistently, there's a few people I reached out to and they had like 100 and something books waiting in the queue for them to read and review. So there's people who have like a whole career, and they have advertising dollars coming in because they have the readership just blogging on new works.
Interesting.
And a lot of them, you can find a lot of people on Instagram. Like I found several people. One, I tried to find a popular person in different regions. So I've sent my book to someone in Brazil. I've sent my book to someone in Germany. I've sent my book to someone in Europe. They all had huge followerships, and all they do is read new works and give a review for you. And of course, it takes time because of customs. But,
Mhm.
in those first few months, I was just like sending stuff everywhere. Now I'm tired. But
Awesome.
it's doable. Bye, Christina. Good to see you. Speaking of Germany, enjoy. It looks beautiful out there where you were. I saw your pictures today. Thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome. Bye. Thank you.
Um, hey, it's so good to see you, Karen. Taking a break from Envy Energy. My lights are on, so you're doing good, girl.
Well, I'm happy that your lights are, and it's cool, right? You got air too, right? That's
Oh, yeah,
important. I
inside.
could be in
I'm
the
like,
dark.
it's cool where? No, yeah, inside, yes. Outside, it's still 112 degrees or something, and it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I won't be going out today. I've been walking outside in the heat for like 3-4 days straight. It's been ridiculous. This weather is not breaking at all.
Mhm.
So when's your story coming, Karen?
My story? I don't know. I think I could. I think I have a. I think my whole life is a story.
It is. That's why I'm
Um,
asking.
So I am going to take some of these suggestions. I might just start because I do that. I think I'm like, oh, I could do that. Even like when I do my speeches, I'm like, oh, that's a good thing, and I'll think about it, and then I'm like, what was it? So now I'm going to take that note. I'm going to take a little notepad with me or record it on my phone or something, and just kind of putting some thoughts together. I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure if it'll turn into a book, but maybe help my life get better.
Even a collection of short stories or short lessons learned.
Yeah, that's a good
That
idea.
would be great for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yes, your
Kaden
life is a story.
Can give me a lot of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, I think that's the key. Like, people need to know they're not alone. So reading other people's stories and they identify with it, they're like, okay, I'm not alone. Because sometimes you can be shut in the house and you do think you're the only one going through something. And that's, I think, a part of depression. It's like
Right.
no one understands. And then when you find that book that connects with you, and then you realize that that person has a following of a whole lot of other people that connect with you and relate, and then you can start coming out and releasing and healing and feel safe because you're talking to your audience.
That's true. That's really true. I like that.
See? There you go.
Well, when I do my book, I'll make sure I dedicate it to you.
Oh my gosh, you don't even have to do that. I just to have your book in my hands would give me joy. You don't have to, you have daughters and grandchildren, so dedicate it to them. They're your muses anyway.
Yes. Yes.
That is awesome. Yeah, so I don't have anything else unless
Nadia, where did you get the board behind you of your book cover?
actually, because I'm a little bit extra sometimes, I didn't even do this. You would think this is my work, but last year when I had the book signing, I hired an event planner. And he actually had this because I had a table set off to the side where I was doing the book signings, and this was actually behind me on an easel. So he gave me this when the book launch was done. But last year it was so beautiful. For those who couldn't be there, I know the pictures are still on Instagram, and I probably should post some more today just as a remembrance. But he took all the book colors from the book. So the tablecloth was like hot pink, and it had like the green and yellow napkins, and there were like floral arrangements on the table that looked like my book cover. And then he had this on one side, and then we had the casket on the other side, and my gift bags were in the casket, and they were green with the pink tissue paper, and it all just flowed together so nicely. So yeah, this I took away from my book launch from last year, and so I just kind of keep it for moments like this. You know, it kind of stays in my.
That was a great event.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful.
It was gorgeous. It was worth every penny because he went so above and beyond my vision. Because if it was left to me, it would have just been a couple balloons and a cake, you know. But he went
It was
above and
great.
beyond. So Aaron Arrington, he's here in Las Vegas. He does event planning for. I mean, he's done Michael Baisden events and all kinds of, you know, Stellar Awards and all these kind of things that people have after events for. And I was just so honored to have him do my event. And I'm one of those people that I never forget people. Like, I might not be able to use you in the moment, but when I see something that I like, I remember people and go back. And when I first moved to Las Vegas, just getting into the Facebook event groups of things going around town, I saw pictures of his work. And this was 4 years ago. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to use him for, but one day I'm going to hire him to do something. And then a few years later, the book came, and I said, he's the only one I called. I was like, Aaron, I've been waiting to hire you for 3 years. I need you to do my book launch. And he was very gracious and came and did an amazing job. His name is Aaron Arrington, and I believe his company is Aaron Arrington Events. So he's on Facebook. That's how we connected. I know, Elaine, you're not on Facebook, but if you do need his information for something, I can get you his number because he's just fantastic. And it just looked really, really beautiful. And Pub 365 was amazing. And all of the waitresses there, every time I go in there, they're like, are you writing something else? Like, they remember me because I wrote so much of my book there. I would just go camp out overnight, and they were so happy to host. They didn't even charge me their minimum fee. I had just been there so much. They were like, of course, we'd be honored to have your book launch here. So Pub 365 was great. I have spent a ton of time at Buffalo Wild Wings. That's my other writing spot because here in Las Vegas, they're 24 hours. So I would go there at 2 o'clock in the morning, write for hours. Panera Bread, I'd go there during the day and write for hours, and just, you know, try to carve out time for myself and have my little local spots around town where this book got written. And I haven't been comfortable to go really anywhere in this pandemic. I've been very serious about staying home. That's why we're not anywhere. But but when I get comfortable again, it will be nice to either camp out at Panera or camp out at Buffalo Wild Wings, because I'm one that needs to be taken out of my environment. You know, when you're home, there's laundry, there's dishes, there's a phone call, there's, you know, but when you're in a restaurant and you know they're either looking for you to order something or leave, like, you're going to get to writing a little bit faster. So I like to go outside and write. But Not in a pandemic. I don't trust restaurants right now unless they have a patio. I've been very serious. Nadia is not trying to catch the virus, and Nadia is not trying to take a vaccine that comes out of this administration. So I'm just in my house. If this administration has their hands on the vaccine, I don't want it. Did you use a tablet, pen and paper, recording Grammarly? I didn't start using Grammarly until the end, and I really didn't like Grammarly because I have the online version, so they catch everything. So even when I'm writing a Facebook post and I'm not trying to use proper grammar, Grammarly is behind the scenes correcting my grammar. So I had to get rid of Grammarly because I couldn't figure out how to just get it on my computer. Every time I went to the site, they were pushing their online version, which goes across the spectrums. And for professionals that are always professional, yes, you want that. Or for people who don't really know how to write well, yeah, you want that. But I don't need you correcting my tweet. Like, I meant for it to sound crazy, so I got rid of Grammarly. But I use my computer. I use Pages, which is Mac's version of Word, and I can export things as a Word document or as a PDF if I need to. Anytime I sent something to someone, except for Diane, because she was my editor, but she didn't even change my Word document. She just put notes and let me make the corrections. So anytime I sent something to someone, I would put it in PDF format so that they can't like change things and release it themselves or whatever. But yeah, I just use Pages. There are a lot of, what is that thing called? Is it Scrivener? I think it's called Scrivener, which is supposed to be the holy grail of writing. And it does a lot of great things. Like, you can separate chapters, you can have your character list, you can put characteristics of all your characters, you can group scenes together, you could do a whole lot of things in Scrivener, but the learning curve is steep and I don't have any patience. I tried to use it for 15 days or so, and I just kind of gave up. I am in the process of turning Woke Up Dead into a screenplay as well, because I think it would be better on the movie screen versus in a book form. I actually dreamed it, so it was kind of in movie form, and Scrivener would be great for that, but the learning curve is just so steep. I've watched YouTube videos, I've downloaded 75 plus page guides, and I'm like, you know what, let me just do what I could do in Word or Pages and call it a day, because it would take so long for me to learn it. But if you're a little more patient, that might be a good avenue for you. One thing I can say about Scrivener is their 30-day trial is a true 30-day trial. So if I use it for 2 days this week, and then I don't use it for a month, and then I go back and use it for 3 more days, that's 5 days. And then I don't use it for another week, so they have a true 30-day trial, but it is just very difficult for me. I don't have that kind of patience to learn it. And if anybody out there knows someone that writes screenplays, I would prefer to just pay someone to do this, because I am finding that this is like my most difficult challenge. It's, when you're writing a book, you're focused on how do you want the reader to feel? What do you want? Are you drawing them into this conversation? Are you describing the scene that's happening? What do you want them to visualize or feel? And that's all, that's pretty much anytime we're telling a story, whether it's verbally or in a book, that's what we're doing. When you're writing a screenplay, it is, what do I want the audience to see? Is it daylight? Is it nighttime? Is the camera inside the car? Is it outside the car? Are we on a windy road? Are we in a living room? Like, I am like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I was just like, I just want my story out there. So turning this into a screenplay is proving really difficult. And I haven't been able to find a lot of screenplays. It really feels like a very hide the ball type of event to me. Like, only the little niche few that do it know how to do it, and everybody else is on the outside trying to get in. So I have tried to Google, I have found websites, and every time I click on a screenplay, it's an error message or something. So I was fortunate that, I see you waving, Diane. I was fortunate that Jordan Peele, who wrote the book Get Out, actually put that into book form and is selling that on Amazon. So that's one of the few that I was able to actually get my hands on. So I've been kind of modeling my screenplay, going side by side with how he kind of outlined Get Out, but I would love to read more. Diane, I think you have an inside scoop on where I can find screenplays.
Well, I just had a thought occur to me. Aren't there classes in screenwriting?
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't that be if not the teacher, then maybe work with a student that you find who feels the way you do? Just a thought.
That is true. I can go to one of these fancy schools and say, hey, who's just starting out? Free screenwriting play. Okay, Malik, can you text that to me? Because when this is gone. Bye, Rebecca. So good seeing you. Thank you. Let me try to save my chat. Okay, save chat. Coursera. I'm not sure what Coursera is, but I will be there later today trying to figure out how to write a screenplay. But I like Diane's idea. Find a student that's maybe just going to charge me $500 or $600. And at least it's a starting point. Like, I feel like, and this is something I had to come to even in business, because us perfectionists, us that try to do everything ourselves, even if you get someone to do something for you and they don't do it as well as you would like, but it's 75% there, having to correct 25% is a lot more time efficient than having to do 100%. So even if they gave me a screenplay that I'm like, okay, not quite there, but at least I've got, because there's a certain look. There's a lot of white space that people expect to see in screenplays. There's certain indentations that they expect to see, certain indentations for the scene itself, certain indentation for the dialogue, another indentation for the characteristics of the actor. And all of that is just time consuming. So if somebody could at least give me a 80% copy, then I could fix the rest. I could fix dialogue. I can't fix what the camera is doing because I've never directed a movie. And I feel like this is that audience. Thank you, Thomas. So yes, I will look at both of those, Coursera and trying to find an actual class. Thank you both for that. Did anyone have anything else? Really have to run. Bye, Malik. Thank you so much for coming through. I know you're working hard for your students at CSN. I appreciate you on your lunch hour. Yes.
Gotta
Now,
go.
I think Elaine said she had someone that was a screenwriter.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you look at the notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to save the chat because I might have. Oh, Kevin Smith is a screenplay artist. He wrote a movie. Oh, yes. I need him. I need Kevin. Kev.
Yeah,
Show
that's
him
Elaine.
Show him my book. That'd be awesome. All right. So everyone is tuning out. So it's 1:04. I wasn't going to hold anybody longer than an hour. If you have more questions, I'll stay around. But I know that people were on their lunch break primarily. Anthony, what are you doing back there? I haven't heard your voice. You've just been in the chat. He must be giving someone a massage. He is like masseuse, esthetician, everything. Everything to make you feel good.
She did call me out, you guys. Hey, y'all.
I'm like, where's my friend?
I've been here the whole time. I was actually finishing up some work. And I want to say congratulations. You guys, I met Nadia with my niece last year. Every September, we would go celebrate my late sister's birthday, but of course, COVID was preventing us from doing that. So my niece got to meet Nadia for the first time, and Nadia brought me a copy of the book, and she bought a copy of the book. We was on the pool side reading that book in a day, you guys. The book was so amazing, and we were both pissed with her. Like, come on, we need another book. I remember her journey. On the phone, we're talking to her, about pushing through, things she was getting frustrated about publishing and editor and all that kind of stuff. It's not an easy job being self-published. I am actually working on my third book, and I did send Elaine a message too, because I would love to get in touch with Kevin myself. One of the two books.
Warm his inbox.
Yeah, so one of the two books that I written, he was my husband too, based on my life story, as well as being married to her, is based on treatments of my life, and I'm working on when
you
I
were
said
supposed to leave those books with Tyler Perry when you were at the studio.
It's just not that easy.
Well, yeah, we've now seen that Tyler Perry writes all his own work. I'm not even sure if he's
Yeah.
open to accepting anybody else's work.
I've sent copies. I sent copies to Tyler Perry, to Steve Harvey, to Tom Joyner. Like you were saying, you send to people. It's so unfortunate so many people aren't that willing to just like hear you and give you a chance, you know? But I like you, you were saying in the beginning of the call, if, don't put it on shelf, don't give up. So, and marketing that's the biggest piece, is trying to market yourself and find the right people that's gonna, pass your book along to the next person, or, try to get you connected with the right person. But it's not an easy journey, but I will say, don't give up. Those that I think it was Karen Johnson that hasn't written a book, and she says she has lots of going on, but it may not become a book. If you'll be amazed at how your life can change someone. Like Monica said, she was telling her daughter what she wanted, but she never asked the daughter what she wanted. And my niece and I had that conversation the other day too. She was saying, cremate me. Don't do the funeral. Don't spend all that money and put me in a dress and everything. Cremate me, save the money, put me in an urn or around your neck or whatever.
Oh my God.
So, we do need to have these conversations.
Well, my book is my thing. So if anything happened to me, I already told you, you better spend some money on me, because I don't have any children I'm leaving behind, and I'm not trying to make anybody rich. You better spend my life insurance on me. I want the nicest casket. I want a royal blue dress. I want Buffalo Bills balloons everywhere. Buffalo Bills cake. You better spend the money. I'm haunted. I told my family.
I got you, Nadia.
And we'll be right there with you, pushing along too, Karen. I definitely agree with you on that. But yeah, so, congratulations. I do have to get another call in a minute because I pushed one of my webinars back to 4:30 so I can be here, but I was trying to finish at one. Yeah, so I would not miss it for anything.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Like I said, congratulations. I'm so proud of you, and we're all rooting for you and cheering on you to get that next one out, because we need to see what happens to her out there. She not giving a story away, but after she makes.
I really want, like, John Grisham needs to like meet with me, and we need to hash out that next book, because he is the king of courtroom dramas. So when you talk about the showdown between Hope and the funeral home, like, that is his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Because I could not do it better than him. I would really love to work with him on that.
All right. Well, you ladies have a phenomenal day, and Nadia, we'll talk soon. All right. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Well, Nadia, I'm gonna go grab me something to eat, and before I go to my next.
I had champagne for breakfast.
See, that's what I wish. See, if I forgot, I should have took a vacation day today, so I could have had some champagne with you. But since I'm at work, I'm drinking iced tea.
That's wise. We want you to still have a job after this.
Yeah, I do have that. Thank you. I'll see you this evening. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Monica and Elaine, I don't have anything else for you guys. Thank you for drinking with me. I think we are the only ones, Monica.
It's what we do here in Cape Town.
Oh, yes, because you have the Seven Sisters Winery right there. Isn't that where the Seven Sisters is?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
That tour, you weren't on that tour with me, though. You did the Dubai trip. You weren't on the South Africa trip, though, right? With Kina?
I did do South Africa last year. I didn't know you were on it.
Yeah, I thought that's where we met. So when you said Dubai, I was like, oh, okay. I thought she was on the South Africa trip. Yeah, I still remember that winery vividly. They were just so lovely. The dinner and the wine tasting, I mean, they were so gracious. And I've
gone out to see Vivian quite a few times since I've been here, because I've been here since the end of February this time.
Did you plan to move there, or you just wanted to do the quarantine there?
So I came here at the end of February, and then I was going to go in April to Croatia to spend my summer, because I've been chasing summer